Namaste, beautiful souls. Tell me how I sound. I have some new equipment. So, this is an experiment tonight, as well as an amazing presentation. Looks like we're coming up on YouTube. Good, good. Let's see. Can y'all hear me? Let's see if I can hear myself. Oh, good. Yay. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to turn that off because that is very bright. Oh, it doesn't turn it off. Okay. Let me do this. Hello, Laurie. Thank you for coming. Hey, Mercedes. Hey, Golden Timeline. Awesome. Yay. Okay, good. Wow, you guys, this presentation, I feel like, I don't know if you guys have ever gone through this before, where like you are just guided to do something, like your brain just gets an amazing download, and then all of a sudden you like have to do something. This is where this came from, this presentation. So I have no idea how it's going to go. I don't even know if you guys are going to understand what I'm talking about, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun just to see how you guys react to what I have to share for you. Basically, what I'm going to do is take the book, Liber Kaos by Peter Carroll, and I'm going to simplify the physics that he does in the first part of the book for you guys so that you understand how magic actually works. And this is a person that's coming from chaos magic, which for some reason is super appropriate right now. And I mean, the reason is because we need it. Okay. We need to learn how to use this kind of magic because of what's coming. After tomorrow, when the moon makes its first square on this solar cycle, it's going to be a very busy week. A lot of energy. Some of you can probably feel it popping up already. I don't know if you've noticed, some people are very reactionary right now. They're doing things without thinking. It's only going to get worse. Okay. And that movement through space without thinking causes a lot of chaos, which a lot of times we're thought to think this is not a good thing, when in actuality it can be, especially if you are coming at it from the chaos magician's point of view. So I hope that makes sense. And this book has got some profound insights. It's also kind of funny in some spots. It made me laugh because I feel like it's something that I could have written. Yes, Golden Timeline magic is intention and energy. And I'm going to break it down for you because, you know, being a physician, being an eternal student, being someone that always loves to learn, I always want to figure out how things work. And I know magic works and I know chaos magic works, but this book kind of helps explain it. And so I'm going to try to pull those threads for you and bring those through for you. This guy actually doesn't like astrology very much. And so I'm going to read to you some fun passages where he sort of disses the whole concept of astrology. But at the same time, our astrology is also showing us that chaos energy is coming. And how do we get ready for that? Well, we learn how to use the chaos. We learn how to be chaos magicians. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm also going to update you on just some solar flares, maybe show you where we are in the sky. And then we're going to look at today's chart because it's super interesting, especially with the putting together of this presentation for you guys. It's almost like, well, first I was drawn to do it and I did it. And then I looked at the astrology and I was like, holy moly, that really worked out. So I don't know if one affects the other, but I think it kind of does. And that's what's so really interesting. So I'm glad you guys are all here. This is so amazing. So yeah, I'm Dr. Danny. I'm a physician astrologer. I'm a philosopher. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm just a curious soul wandering through this world, trying to figure out how things work and why they work. And so we're endeavoring to do that while we also understand how astrology works. I think the cycles of heaven are so incredibly beautiful and amazing. And when you can weave your magic with these movements, with these cycles, with these ebbs and flows of energy, then you feel like you're being soul guided and life just becomes magical. So I hope you guys understand that life can become truly magical. And I know a lot of people are dealing with some chaos right now. A lot of people are dealing with some really really tough energy, you know, so it's not always easy to kind of take what I'm about to show you in. But for those of you that are in a good spot, you can use your own chaos magic to help people. You can use your own chaos magic to maybe even move a hurricane. Okay, maybe even take the energy out of it with your own thought, with your own intention, coupled with this idea that I'm going to share with you today. So cool. Oh my gosh, my heart's beating so fast. I'm so excited to do this, but I'm just gonna take a breath, and then I thought what I'd do is show you guys a couple of things that are going on right now. I want to show you the sun too, because the sun is on fire. Well, of course, the sun's on fire, but you know, it's burping out all this plasma and radiation, and you know, the Earth's getting hit, and we're feeling it too. So we've got that causing sort of depletion of our energy or upgrades for some people. It just really depends. So I hope you guys are doing good. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. We got 23 people. All right. Love it. I am starting to get some ideas, you guys, about ramping up and helping you guys understand this astrology a little bit better, a little bit easier. So we'll be working on that. I'm also going to do, the next class is going to be Mars, and that is just dragon, fierce warrior energy, and I'm calling it Sleeping Warrior, the sacred masculine. So I hope you guys can check out that class. Just stay tuned. I don't have a link yet, but just know that that's coming. And then some other amazing things. So this is the sky, like right now. Okay. So this is, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This right here, my friends, is the galactic center. This is where Ophiuchus and Scorpio are, this cross in the sky. And I always find that whenever the moon is in Ophiuchus, that I am just so like, I come to some kind of higher realization about something almost every month. It's really, really quite amazing. I get this flash of insight, and I feel like I need to move through it. And usually once the moon's in Sagittarius, it kind of becomes manifest. But right now we have a waxing crescent moon, and I think after tomorrow it'll be a square moon. And that's usually the first moment of tension in the cycle where action needs to be taken. And if a lot of people are getting beat up by these solar flares and feeling really exhausted and emotional and reacting to things, they might be unconsciously making really bad choices right now. So we have to look out for our brothers and sisters, especially those that are in the midst of chaos. So that's like really amazing. And then you've got Venus in Libra right now. So she is, I really like this sign ruled by Mercury, because I feel like Mercury serves the divine feminine so much better in this space. It's like he's a representative of balance, of equality, of a higher perspective. And Venus really needs that, because this is a very vulnerable space for her in Libra. She's got to kind of tone it down and go inward and kind of get ready for that burn path through Scorpio and Ophiuchus, where the moon is right now. So she's in the middle of that. I'm going to do Venus transits probably next week. And then I'm also going to put together a presentation on the coming full moon, because that's when this lunation is going to climax. And I think that's when like all of the like energy that people are going through is going to burst a little bit. And that'll be in Pisces. And then right now we have the sun right in the middle of Virgo, right in her belly. So this is really beautiful. If you can use the Night Sky app during sunrise, you'll see Virgo, and the sun will be in the belly of Virgo, like SUN. So we're right here in the heart of this like birthing mother sky goddess energy, really illuminating how the universe works, why it works the way it works. And we will be in Virgo season, my friends, until after Halloween. So the sun doesn't move into the space of Libra until November 5th. So still a little bit of Virgo work to do. But that's good, because you have time. Virgo's a huge constellation. It's not just 30 days. You can hang out in Virgo for 45 days, I think. So Cool. All right. How's everybody like feeling about the astrology? Lori likes Mars energy. Yeah, me too. I'm excited. There aren't a lot of resources actually out there about Mars. The few I've found, I've just taken vigorous notes on. I've listened to some Vedic astrologers. There's some neat things you can do with Mars to like figure out what your karmic debt is, to figure out what part of your chart Mars is actually going to take action in. It's really interesting. So, yeah, I will have that ready to go this week probably. Oh yeah, let me share this solar flare data. So this was yesterday, like around 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So it was evening in Europe and sort of afternoon in the United States, but it was an X15 flare. So, we had that X9 flare last week. I'm telling you, like when these things come through, I feel it. Like I feel all drowsy. I can't even move for about 20 minutes. So I don't know if those are upgrades or if it's just the solar radiation. So yeah, that was pretty intense, but mostly just kind of staying in the C range. But again, guys, if you want to really nerd out on these solar flares, check out these forums. These people will tell you exactly when and where you can see the aurora borealis, but you kind of have to sift through some of their messages and some of their lingo. But after a while, if you keep going through there, you'll get their lingo, which is pretty fun. Here's a fun video on what that flare actually looked like earlier. Let's see. Oh, let me back up. All right, I guess we're going to watch an ad real quick. Man, you can't do anything out there without ads. I try to keep them out of my mid-roll, but like YouTube puts them in there anyway. Especially on the meditations, I just turn it off. But that's the solar flare. Isn't that crazy? The size of this, it looks really small because the sun's massive, but like these explosions are the size, look at those ripples, are the size of Earth. Like the whole planet would be engulfed in this thing if we were right up in it. It's just amazing. So yeah, it gives me chills when I think about that. And the Earth, she just protects us. She keeps us safe. Our magnetic, our own electromagnetic field keeps us connected to Earth and safe. Yeah. Sandra D says Vedic is the correct way. I was sidereal for a while, but watching you on our cakes made so much sense on how to use astrology correctly. I'm intrigued by the software you created too. Oh, I didn't create any software. I'm not a software engineer, but thank you for the props. Yeah. No, the software was created by a guy named Gavin that Athen Commenti with Mastering the Zodiac works with, and he's a distributor. And I think they're still having an issue with the licensing, but they're getting that fixed. So once that's back on board, you guys can purchase that software. Yeah, no, I don't get any perks for talking about it. I just use it every day and I love it. So yeah, what else is going on? We did Uranus last week on Friday. That was really amazing. Those of you that were in the class, hopefully you can vouch for that. That was just an incredible session. It was literally like 3 hours of this amazing dialogue and just learning about Uranus. And then we were looking through people's charts, and it was really cool. We were deep in it. We took a break about halfway through, and then we made it. So we went from like 6 o'clock at night to 9 o'clock my time. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Hello, hey Sue. Dr. Walker's looking forward to the Mars class and also deeply into chaos magic. Cool. I think you, of all people, hey Sue, are going to actually love what I'm about to show you guys. It is like, wow. So without further ado, let me get into it. This is the book I'm referring to, you guys, and we're going to read some passages from it. And I want to just say before I even get started that this is this person's work. I am trying to interpret it for you and bring through concepts to help support my theory. that we as magicians can use and manipulate things like astrology or whatever magic you use, right? Like if you use tarot, or if you use runestones, or if you use crystals, or if you're into Reiki, all of this is related to those concepts. For some reason, though, this guy really doesn't like astrology. It's really, really hilarious. So we'll start with that. I'm going to turn on my little desk light so we can see. And then I'm going to share my screen again. And then I'm going to put that down and pick this up. Okay, so here we go. Chaos magic theory. All right, here's what he says right off the bat about astrology. He says, chaos magic theory has a bearing on various other esoteric topics. There is little or nothing within CMT that favors retention of a belief in the pseudoscience of astrology, save that the beliefs of astrologers may exert some etheric effort, which would be much stronger if there were more consensus among astrologers. Personally, I'm thankful that there is of little consensus. So that's really interesting, because if you think about it, astrology is a type of magic, just like tarot is a type of magic, just like being in advertising is a type of magic. It's all the way we use intention and energy and things to draw people's attention. And when you can see yourself, when you can detach yourself and unidentify yourself from your avatar and things that happen, and you see yourself more as a magician of the whole mess, then it's almost like you can walk around with a secret. Like you can do the mundane job, but do it like a magician, and watch how your life changes. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that. This is just my theory because of how I have experienced astrology and how it has changed my life. And I'm willing to work with you guys and teach you guys. All my links are below if you want to get into it with me. So y'all know where to find me. Join the Fellowship of 13 Signs if you're not over there already, so you can get notified about the Mars class. But this is what I believe. This is how it's worked for me. And my mission, what I'm endeavoring to do, is to share that with you, to show you that, even if you're a believer of science and you don't even believe in any spiritual funny stuff, this lecture is for you. Okay. Because I'm using science and I'm using math, but I'm also using some concepts that math and science can't quite explain yet. And I think this guy does a really good job despite his opinions on astrology. And I will show you how I merged it together with what this guy's doing right now and what's in my natal chart at the end. Just because I'm the only example I know of right now, it's kind of like working with it. And so I thought I would use myself as an example, if you guys don't mind. So, all right. So here's the other, let me do the last one that he said. Hold on. It's a little bit further back in the book. Okay, here it is. So when he's talking later in the book, he talks about the 8 magics. We're not going to get into that part of the book. This is just the first 2 chapters. He says the 8 types of magic can be attributed to the 7 classical planets plus Uranus for octarine. However, in the cause of expanding the parameters of what can be attempted with each of these forms of magic, such an attribution will largely be avoided. The 8 forms of magic will each be considered in turn. So then he'll go through them in the book. But that's basically what he's saying. And so if you're not into astrology, this still is a good talk for you, because whatever it is that is your magic, you can use these principles. You can believe that what you're doing is working. And when you look at the formula for the probability of something magical actually happening, belief is what's important, okay? And you're not going to find that in a science book. And so it's about what you are believing, okay? And quantum theory absolutely proves that, we observe what we want to observe. Those wave functions don't actually collapse until we want to see them, okay? So first of all, the whole problem with science in general is that we became too analytical. We lost the philosophical part of it. So I say physics fucked us, basically. When they gave us the concept of entropy, Now, I don't know if you guys know what entropy is, but when I was doing my pre-med courses, I had to take a physics course. So I took basically the physics course for dummies, and they do very little. They do very little formulas. I'm not even going to show you the formula for entropy because it's even more complicated than what I want to show you later. But basically, the idea is that as we create matter, that creates heat. And what creates heat? Heat is movement. When nothing's moving, that's absolute zero. That's cold, okay? As particles and units of mass begin to move, they create heat. And so when you're creating something in the void, in the vacuum, it creates a heat around it, okay? And this heat increases entropy or information. That's all entropy is. It's an increase in information. Some people think of it as like chaos, but it's not. It's just all the information that's possible is absolute entropy. And what is that? When you have all the absolute possibilities all present in one space, that's the void. That's nothing and everything. That's also this quantum foam from which chaos magic comes from. So you get the more movement, you get more heat, you get more matter, you get more entropy information. And the weird thing about entropy is that it increases over time. And entropy can run backwards in the equation, but in what we witness in real life, that's not what happens. So what we witness in the now is simply the egg breaking. So the egg is broken and we can't unbreak that egg. And the chaos magician says, okay, I have a broken egg, but I can cook it and eat it now. So they see that energy moves from one form to another. And that's what entropy does. It moves through space-time, creates matter, creates entropy, and then you do this over the amount of time. But here's the weird part. Because physics has been so good describing everything that we see with our limited senses that only pick up less than 1% of what's actually going on around us, this is all only relevant for the medium scale, like the stuff that's going on around us right now. When you close your eyes and you go into the astral, or when you get into the theta state, you're having an out-of-body experience, this doesn't matter. Like, entropy can go forward and backwards. You can unbreak the egg, right? You can do that in your dreams. You can do that in the astral realm. And you can do that in what's called shadow time. So I'm going to go over this time concept because we have to look at time completely differently. If we're going to understand chaos magic, then we have to stop whispering it. We have to come out and accept it. We have to understand that time is not what we think it is. Time, we can define time as how we experience it here in this 3D realm, but we can't that's not how it works. Like the way that we see it in 3D reality is not how time actually works. And so we need to just kind of come out and say that, kind of deal with that. And we're going to look at 3 different aspects of time. So the first aspect, ordinary real time. That's right now, each now. And these nows are really, really small, okay? This is like Planck time now. Like it's like a millionth of a second or something crazy like that. That's the only real time, the time that we are sitting in at this very second. Then there's a concept called pseudo time. And so that's created by memory and expectation through the phenomenon of thought forms, which are real things. They float around. Those of you that are intuitive or psychic, you pick these up. You pick these thought forms up. They come to you. You attract them to you. And they're experienced as quanta through Planck time. So the likelihood of me remembering coming in this room and sitting down and doing this video feels like real past time, but it's only pseudo time. Because in the idea of shadow time, which is the time that nobody really talks about, but this is really important, I can, in my mind, in a theta brainwave state, go back in time and change what I've done. It's easier if you go further back because then the possible realities that can manifest from that will be more in line with where you are in the real now. So it's all about beliefs of what can be brought to you. And I've actually done this. I've gone back to a time that I remember in my past, and I've changed it. I came in as my higher self. I put my hand on that young woman's heart, and I told her that it was going to be okay. You know, so that there was nothing to worry about. There's nothing to feel guilty about, because this too shall pass. This is literally just a part of the cycle coming to a close, right? Things are created, things are destroyed. This is the ebb and flow, and this happens in a micro instant in the quantum foam from which we all exist. So I'm just going to check in with you guys, see how everybody's feeling. Are y'all following me so far? Okay, good. All right, cool. All right, Lookup says physics for dummies. Yes. Twilight Mist says, here's another related interesting thing to consider. This realm's time at the moment is one of electrical dominance on the electromagnetic expression of scale. Yes, that's actually what shadow time is. So I have a graphic for that. African Wolf says, shadow time. Ozadara says, you're speaking my language. This is so good. All perfect. That is so powerful. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. It's going to get better though, because I have more. I just need to take a breath, because this is just, I mean, like yesterday and this morning. And it's coming from this book too. So you'll read about this in this book, but this hopefully after I'm done with you, when you read that first chapter, it will make so much more sense. All right, let's share again. And it's a dense book. Like there's not a whole lot of like, you know, flowery language or kind of beating around the bush. There's some funny like rituals you can do if you want, but again, you're conforming to some sort of structure, which he even sort of says, do it or not do it, but this is how it works. Okay, here comes the physics equations, Dr. Walker. But it's really simple. It's basically just to, and those of you that have ever studied physics, a light bulb hopefully will go off in your head right now, because it's really important that we understand this. Because when we're using chaos magic, when we're manifesting, there's a concept of power versus energy, right? We all know the formula: energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Okay, so energy is expressed in joules. There's also an equation of physics called force equals mass times acceleration. Okay. When you flip some variables around and everything, basically you can also express energy as force times distance, or sometimes they call it work in physics. So force times distance also equals E equals mc squared. So E equals mc squared equals force times distance. But we're just talking about energy right now. So the force of something over the distance relative to where it started is the work or the energy that's needed for something to happen. And then power is force times velocity. So what's velocity? Velocity is distance over time, right? You know, miles per hour, distance over time. So if you take power and you know, basically if you take energy and you divide it by time, then you get power. So energy divided by time is power, which is, so this would be force over meters. This is force over meters per second is power. Hope that makes sense. And so really power is energy over time. So that's a very important concept, because the power that you have as a magician is literally as tapped into the unlimited energy source that is available to you as well. Okay. Now, we are all capable of miraculous and amazing things, and also terrible things too. Okay. E equals mc squared led to the hydrogen bomb. All right. Now, I'm not talking about us blowing up. Maybe we could. I don't know. But there is a potential there for you using it for harm, or using it in a way that is unconscious. And I think there are a lot of people on planet Earth that are using their power, their unlimited source of energy, in a way that's unconscious. It's not necessarily that they don't realize it, they just don't realize what they're doing, if that makes sense. So if we know where this power comes from, we know that we are tapped into this energy source. We experience time linearly down here. So wow, we can watch chaos happen in real time, frame by frame, and almost have an intuitive awareness of what's coming next. And you can use that. And astrology actually helps you do that as well. Okay. So time is the key factor here. You make it powerful through those slices of time. So one of the things that that he mentions in here, I don't know if I have it in here later, but basically it is, let me see if I have it in a later slide. Hang on, let me just tell you this, because this is what I wanted to bring up right here. Oh, here we go. So what this means, okay, is that you want to enchant long and divine short. So in other words, divining is basically your intuition. What can you see from the immediate past and the probable immediate futures? What do you see? What do you intuit? So that's divination, because each moment in time changes, each now changes. So divine short, use your power of divination just for short-term kind of energies. But if you want to actually like manifest, you got to do it long term. You've got to think into the future. You've got to send your thought intentions into the future. And what that does is it causes an acausal reality for you. So in other words, you're doing things in the past that cause, or doing things in the future that cause things in the past. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to get into that a little bit more. I just want to make sure you guys got these equations and make sure you understand. It's not that we have to do any math. It's just like, what produces the energy in us? Oh, wow. Gosh, I think just consciousness, you know, who knows, but it's there. It's available to us. It comes from that quantum foam where, there's an enormous energy potential. Jeff, who you could check out on my last video I did live last week, there's a link to this interview with Marcus Aubrey and Nassim Haramein. And he's done some amazing work with physics, trying to bring both like quantum theory and general relativity together, because when they do the math, they get a lot of like infinities and weird stuff like that. And what you find out is that if you apply a fluid dynamics sort of mathematical set to it, to both problems, you get something really elegant, very easy, and shows you how much potential energy is available in each like centimeter of this quantum void. And it's quite profound. And yes, once you get down to this size of things, once you get down to shadow time, then retrocausality is a thing. Like you can change the past, and the future can change the now. So yeah. We have to think of time differently. So it can lead to some very interesting discussions about paradoxes. It can get people, like triggered and emotionally reacting to things, and that's fine. I've kind of like, I'm just open-minded. Whatever I'm guided to learn and understand about time, that's where my current understanding is. So okay, let me go back to sharing, because I think you guys are digging it, which makes me so happy. I just think this stuff is so cool. So he opens the book with the idea of Fiat Knox, which is basically fiat means commanding, a command or an act of will that creates something without effort. Basically that unlimited energy, right? How do we create something with an act of will? Just like to Jeff's question. And then Nox, which is the Roman goddess of the night, the Greek Nyx. Chaos is also her name. Basically, she's the goddess of the void, the primordial dark mother, the divine suppressed feminine. If you're looking at Black Moon Lilith, is associated with Nox as well. One I'd like to quote Peter Carroll: magicians and scientists should never attribute absolute reality to anything. And that's where the scientists have gone wrong. So I wanted to, you know what? I forgot to take a picture in this book. I'm going to have to come out of it and show you something at the end that's super interesting. Okay. So we've talked about basically time, the ordinary real time, the pseudo time created by our memories and our expectations. But shadow time exists orthogonally or perpendicular to pseudo time. So if you're familiar with the idea of electromagnetic waves, the electrical part of the wave goes one way, and then the magnet part of the wave goes the other way. That's called an orthogonal wave. It's also called a scalar wave. So shadow time is very different. It's basically looks like this, and it oscillates. It helps you to oscillate in a point in time, space time, that creates a vibration in the ether around it that magnetizes things to it. Okay. And so this is fine if you're shooting a wave, but these tend to be circular, the shadow time. So you basically get this toroidal field. So you get nested toroidal fields upon nested toroidal fields, and they're all interconnected, basically through these microscopic Planck-sized black holes. It's all one space, and what essentially happens is that every point in the universe becomes the center of the universe. So it's really amazing, because that's how you can go back and forward in time. That's how you can cause the future, can cause things to happen in the past, and how you can change the past. So no conversation about magic would be complete if we didn't talk about the ether, which is actually something that's real. For the longest time, the scientists have said that it's just a vacuum. But what's happened over trying to reconcile quantum physics with general relativity is that they get these absurd answers that require crazy math in 11 dimensions, a holographic simulated environment. And if that's what you want to hang your beliefs on, you can still use this magic theory. You don't have to believe that, we live in a planetary system or anything like that. But basically, the quantum foam exists. It's the dark matter. Okay. Scientists are going to tell you that our universe is 90% dark energy and dark matter. Well, where is it? Where the F is it, right? It's everywhere. It's in everything. It connects all points of light, all points of vibration that are all resonating in the same frequency to create Dr. Danny, to create this microphone on my desk, to create, you guys watching. So ether acts as though it were a form of information emitted by matter that is instantaneously available everywhere and has some power to shape the behavior of other matter. It's analogous to morphogenic fields, morphogenic meaning creating forms, so fields that create forms, and non-local effects. So if you're sitting here in this point of space thinking about something on the other side of the world, what we're saying here is that you, because of the ether and because of how time actually works, you can change things. So I wonder if we all sort of kind of made that little hurricane in the Gulf just a little bit weaker with our intention, if we could make a difference. There's a lot of people out there saying that they're trying to do that. A lot of people through prayer, through intention. That's another way people do magic without even realizing it, by setting intentions and saying prayers. It is through these functions, it is through these mechanisms by which prayer and setting intentions actually works. So these etheric patterns become oscillations associated with the phenomena. And the etheric patterns should be regarded as the spirit of the phenomena. And ether is not superior to matter, and matter is not superior to ether. They are properties of the universe, and they co-evolve together. So how are you guys feeling on the ether? I know I'm being a little bit motherly about it. Spooky science is fun. Guess that's why religion sprung up around it, huh? Well, that's funny that you mentioned that. So I'm gonna bring this up because I didn't copy and paste this diagram, but I am going to show it to you. I think you guys can see that. I hope so. So the black line is transcendental or spiritual energy. The middle line on the left side is magic paradigm. And what you're going to see is that it goes up and then it goes down to a nadir, and then it begins to rise and peak again. And we are right here, where spiritualism is on the decline and technology and information is on the rise, or is at its homeostasis. And so the more technology we have, the less spiritual things become, but yet we still see magic. And so it's going to be sort of like a post-technological magical world. That's what's coming for us, according to this person, Peter Carroll, who wrote this book. So yeah. So cool. Odizar rules. I'm obsessed by ether. It's my favorite element, and I talk about it all the time. Ask my BF. Yeah, it's real. It's real. And for a long time, well, way back in the day when physics first started, they believed in an ether. They were like, how else could things move around? There has to be an ether. And then when we started doing, I don't know, I guess over the last 2 centuries or whatever, it's been about the vacuum. How do ether and plasma differ? Well, plasma is a state of some sort of matter, right? I think it's so like water can be liquid, gas, ice, or a plasma. Water could even be a plasma. So it's just a state of matter, and ether is a state of unmaterialized matter, I guess. That's kind of how magic works. Like the thought forms are in the ether, and the what it creates is matter. But we're actually going to get into how matter and ether interact. So let's take a look at that. I'm glad you guys are digging it. All right. So here are the 5 principles of chaos magic theory. So number 1, all matter, all things emit ether, and it carries information about the matter from which it has been emitted. So plasma would create ether, to answer your question. And that's basically the idea of it. So your physical body emits an ether, and that's your etheric form. That's your etheric body. And the reason it can exist is because in those subtler realms and those higher vibrational energies, information is physical there. Like it's you can see it, smell it, touch it, hear it, taste it, and that information can be transmitted to our 5 senses as well. A couple of things about these 5 principles. I think I skipped ahead here. Yeah, I did. We're going to get into that in a second. I'm sorry, guys. I went out of order. Let me just explain this thought real quick, and then we'll get back into those 5 principles about ether. But that's good that we did that, at least to answer your question about plasma. So chaos magic theory intersects 2 realms, okay? It brings together the space, time, mass, and energy that we're all well-versed on. If you want to dive into those equations, those come from, centuries of work. And we know how to describe mass very well, but we still don't actually know what it is. So if you ask a physicist, what is mass? They'll be like, it's kind of like a vibration, a little bit of vibration there at the center of the nucleus. It's got a lot of energy. We don't really know, but it weighs this much, and it's really, really tiny. And the mass of the universe actually has to be quite small in order for the laws of the physics to work. So in order to have the shape of the universe that they think we have, we actually have to have almost no mass. And in fact, I think that's actually the case. So the other thing it brings together is sort of the quantum energy, that probabilistic energy that we see with quantum physics. There are these ether patterns in shadow time. So when there's a thought form, it not only like ripples out forward and backward in time, but also in that orthogonal shadow time. And it causes these vacuum fluctuations. And then the other thing about how you can think about this is that time is circular and reality is acausal. So events are nonlinear, and every point of space is the center of the universe. So when we talk about these 5 principles, they basically bring together the minimum hypothesis to describe the physical laws and the violations that we see that we ascribe to magic. And it also provides a limitation on the power of magic. Remember, we talked about that. And confirm that the universe itself is a magical phenomenon, okay? So it's almost like it's creating itself just through the process of consciousness. So we reviewed that rule. All matter emits ether and carries information about that matter from which it has been emitted. Number 2, ether is non-local in space and is instantaneously available anywhere. Yes, that's right. I can reach out and touch Dr. Walker right now if I focus my mind and I reach out and I think a thought to her or of her. She can perceive that if her antenna is up and ready to listen to me, because it's non-local. We're in the same shadow, time, space, right? And that's why that information is available everywhere. Number 3, the coupling of matter and ether. So spirit and matter, right, gives rise to the physical laws of the universe. So when a conscious thought comes through, a thought forms come through and starts vibrating that ether, vibrating that quantum foam, that chaotic mix, a thought comes in there and organizes a little bit. It starts to oscillate, and then it sends out ripples in its ether and starts other oscillations that attract to it. And this is exactly how and why the idea of like attract likes works. And so when we're talking about vibration, that's why they say that, because if you're vibrating in the energy of fear, anger, sadness, or victimhood, you are rippling that ether and you're bringing that to you because you are a powerful magician. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you guys are going through a tough time, lie to yourself, and lie to yourself with a full-throated endorsement of that lie about how wonderful your life is, because that will ripple outward and magnetize to you the things that are wonderful in your life. Principle number 4, the coupling of ether with itself creates patterns corresponding to the possible pasts and futures of any now moment. Okay, so this is what we're talking about in terms of distance of time. Since we're here and we have to perceive time the way we do, controlled chaos shot by shot, okay, what we can do with our divination skills and how accurate we can be, we're more accurate the closer we are to the future event. So I could try to predict something 5 years from now. I could try to predict something 16 years from now. But because we've got the now moment and we've got 16 years to watch this unfold, can we change the future in 16 years? Probably. It's kind of, but you can't do it right now. So if you knew that something was going to happen tomorrow, there's very little you could probably do. You could only kind of see what actually will unfold rather than actually change it. And again, the farther back you go in the past, it's the same idea. So it basically sets a limit for how much gnosis you can have in that moment. And then principle number 5, the coupling of ether with thought forms also emits ether. This is it right here, guys. This is key. So the coupling of this ether with our thought forms emits ether. So everything you think, everything. I mean, even the silliest, stupidest, meanest thoughts, like they're rippling outward. So it's almost as if you have to de-identify yourself with the crap that's going on around you, because otherwise your thinker, your thought form creator, is going to start making these thought forms that will collect ether around them, creating an oscillation that magnetizes things to you. How are you guys feeling? This is so good. Yes, Squirrel Sniper, manifest blue skies. Yes, let's do it. Twilight Mist says, which makes sense why we can't thrive or even think straight when we don't have enough water. It channels the energy in and through the body to keep it going. Yeah, water is really important. We're like 70, 80% water. So yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to like blessing your food and holy water, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like as a chaos magician, you could say, all right, cool. I'm not of the belief that anything that enters my body harms me. I'm going to enchant my food to only provide sustenance that gives me energy and unlimited strength. Aren't you praying over your food? Like, could you do that? Thank you for the food. Thank you for the nourishment. And that's what you're doing. You're praying over it. Praying before you go to bed. Setting intentions before you go to bed. That's magic. That's magic. Cool. It's cool. So let's see what else. I have some more. All right. All right. So we've gone through this 5 principles, basically how ether works, how it reacts with matter and thought forms. And so basically, again, I'm just kind of repeating this, enchant long and divine short. So due to the orthogonal nature of time, divination reveals the probability of potential futures of the now. So to change the past or affect the future, one must create thought forms for pseudo time with focus, like extreme focus. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been in the zone doing something. Okay, like when I would kite surf, or when I do surgery, like when I do surgery on somebody, if I'm doing a big complicated surgery, I'm in the zone. Like what I'm doing is the only thing that matters. Right. And so that for me is a very, what do you call it? I don't feel anything about my body. Like I'm not tired. I don't have to pee. I'm not hungry. I've been in surgeries for hours where I don't even think about any of that because I'm like focused, laser on what I'm doing. Okay. Same thing can be said with people that are playing music and they're very into a jam that's just kind of coming through them, like through spirit. And you watch them play, they close their eyes and they're like making love to the music. Like this is that kind of focus. This is what's called gnosis. Okay. This is the power in your magic. This is how you use that unlimited source of energy powerfully through focus. Because the magic happens in the shadow time and the active divination can create past and future events. Oh yeah. So this is a big deal too, because I know we like to watch people and see how they predict things that are going to happen. But sometimes we can actually create what we're trying to get people to avoid at the same time. I always, it's so funny. I used to say this whenever, the Jim Cantori, the Weather Channel guy, would be in a different city or whatever. I'm like, they're trying to manifest a hurricane in that city because he's there and they have the cameras on and they're talking about it and they're speaking about it. They're spelling, they're using their words to get you to manifest the hurricane. Okay, so we have to be very careful that kind of information that we take in, because if we're in this now moment and we absorb that and we accept that ether into our oscillating field, then we can also create that by thinking upon it, by pondering what we would do about it. And so mindfulness also plays very big into this. If that's disrupting from what you're trying to create, then what you're doing is creating that other thing for the energy that you received. Okay. All right. I'm going to get into this. Is the next slide's going to be a lot. Let me just see if you guys have any questions so far about any of that. I have thumbs up from Stevie Day to Stephanie. Seeking truth gives me thumbs up. Taken with the intention. Yep. Squirrel Sniper says our words remain on breath. Into the ether it goes. Dr. Walker says this makes things very clear and it explains what I do to me. You are the reason I started this time magic journey from our linear time visit during one of your other live events. Oh yeah, I try to talk about this all the time. This is really like, we are in a very strange reality and a lot of chaos is coming for us. And the thing about chaos is that you don't have to be afraid of it. It actually can help the chaos magician, especially if you can step out of it. I'm going to show you guys in a minute that astrology can actually help you step out of it and look down on it and objectively work with it, like a magician might do. All right, what I'm going to show you next is probably the hardest part of this whole conversation. So I'm sorry. Thank you guys for sticking with me. But I think I needed to kind of get through all of that so that when I show you this equation, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's not anything that you have to sit down and calculate. It's a probability equation that's similar to the, oh crap, I forgot what that equation's called, where the probability of alien life exists. It's got all these factors and letters and stuff. And it's kind of like that. So we're going to dive into that real quick. It'll be simple. Okay. All right, we're here. Okay. So here it is. So this is the power of magic. This is straight from Mr. Carroll's book, where M is the magic, okay? And you've got factors G, which is gnosis, L, which is your magical link, A, which is conscious awareness, R, which is subconscious resistance, okay? This equation is basically the sum equating to the probability of the desired effect. So let's say you want something. I want that car. Okay. The probability of this desired effect, all values of G, L, A, and R are expressed in values from 0 to 1. Okay. So the sum total of probabilities needs to be greater than 0.5 in order for a magical act to occur more often than a random act of chaos. Okay. And it's laid out by going through these 4 different qualifiers. So the first thing is G, which is gnosis. Okay. So this is, you want the probability of having gnosis when you're setting an intention, when you're praying, when you're working your magic, of 0.8 to 0.9. And that basically sums up to a hysterical focus or ecstatic meditation or being in the zone. Mr. Carroll says orgasm is the perfect example of a hysterical focus that gives you a gnosis. If you get into a really good transcendental meditation and you're like having an out of body, that's where your gnosis is. Okay. There's a lot of different ways we can get into gnosis, whatever your zone is. Okay. And the more you're in it and the more you're like completely unaware of anything else, that hysterical focus, then the more gnosis you have. Now, L is the magical link. Okay. So what is the magical link? What is that? This is the part where you have to kind of bring in your belief. You kind of have to understand that shadow time works this way, and you have to be connected to the thing that you're trying to get. Okay. So for example, if you want that car, maybe you've got like a picture of that car, or you go and you test drive that car. So you've got the smell and the feel and the heat of the car on your body, and you have a link to what that feels like. So your imagination, your contact with whatever it is you're trying to influence, and then a talisman of some sort. So talismans can get into that tricky area where you have to have something to do the work. Like, for example, I used to carry around crystals all the time. I used to carry around black tourmaline during COVID because I wanted to like protect myself. But then I realized that power was within me, not the tourmaline, because I ended up washing it and it crumbled to bits and I lost all my tourmaline. And I thought, oh no, they're going to get me. And then I was like, wait, that's kind of dumb. You know? And so what is your magical link to the thing that you're trying to do? And so those 2 things help you. The higher those 2 things are, the connection, the imagination of connection to that point in time. Like when I went back in time, I was in the imagining, I was touching my younger woman self and on the heart, and I was, speaking to her, and that was a very real thing for me because of what I was able to imagine. So if you have good imaginations, then magical thinker, then you have an amazing magical link. A and R, conscious awareness and subconscious resistance, will inhibit your ability to do things. So, well, not inhibit you, but the lower the number, the better it is. So the more aware of the magic that you're doing. So if you're like, yes, I'm doing magic right now, then the less effective it will be. So that's why that hyper focus on whatever it is you're doing, if you're, that level of gnosis, if you have that plus the imagining and you don't even realize that that's what you're doing, like daydreaming unconsciously, just, if you lay back and you daydream, that's the perfect example of how to use your magic because you're not even consciously aware that you're doing it. Sometimes when you're actually trying to do a spell or some sort of structured incantation or something like that, you use words or things that are meaningless, but if you say them over and over, it takes your conscious awareness to those words rather than the magic that you're trying to do. Because you don't want your thinker, your thought maker, to interrupt in those etheric waves that you're creating with your gnosis and your magical link. And then we get to R, which is subconscious resistance. Okay, so the more you disbelieve that you've got the ability to do this, then that's what limits you. Okay, so the more you're able to see your own magic in action, the more you believe it. And it's a feedback loop. So the idea is the more you do it, even just little things, the more you do it, if you can make it happen, if you've seen that it's happened before by doing these certain things for yourself, then it will be more likely to happen again. Because remember, this is all probability. And so in other words, if it's happened before, your magical link is stronger because you've seen it before, you've had contact with it. I hope that makes sense. There's also questions in the book about what happens if there's some sort of magic being affected towards you versus your magic. And that goes back to that talisman, that black tourmaline that I lost. Okay. Using that tourmaline to help me build up my own shield of protection, nothing happens to that protection once that tourmaline's gone. And that's all about what I believe. Okay. So if I believe I am protected, if I believe that the universe has my back, I mean, this is faith. Okay. So your subconscious resistance comes from what you believe. If you don't believe you can do magic, you won't. It's as simple as that. So how does everybody feel about that equation? Let me see if you guys have any questions about it. Maybe we can think about it. Let's see. Look Up says she believes in miracle and magic every day. Seeking Truth says during CV, I believe I was divinely protected and didn't comply, but started my beautiful food garden. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's your magic. So we're much more powerful than we're told to believe. And I hope you guys understood that equation. So basically, without having to do any probabilities, if you've got some sort of gnosis or ecstatic focus that can help you reach the shadow time, and you also have that imagination link into whatever it is that you're trying to affect, and you can turn your thinker off while believing in magic, then your probability for affecting chaotic events that are just going to happen randomly to go your way are much, much greater. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I might need to rewatch this one. Yeah, I feel the same way too, because I had no idea how this was actually going to come out, you guys. So I know it's a lot. There's only a couple more thoughts that I want to go through. And then I think I was going to do astrology, but maybe we can if you guys want. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much to where I want to be. So, okay. So the magic of astrology, right? This is my magic. This is what I'm bringing to the table. It makes pseudo time. Remember that those events in the future that we're expecting and the events that have just happened, it makes pseudo time more visible than just a thought form, just that etheric thought form of a few minutes past and what might happen in the next few minutes, because we can actually look at it. We can quantify it with a planet and a sign and a house. It increases our gnosis as well. So if you need more of a gnosis, if you start studying and thinking about astrology, it's going to be a great way for your conscious mind to sort of latch onto something so that you can do the magic, almost like the incantation, almost like the nonsense, as Peter Carroll would say. So it increases your magical link as well to shadow time, and it decreases the subconscious resistance, and it's repeatable. So when you see things starting to repeat themselves in astrology and certain things happen again, it literally makes you a believer. You're like, okay, yeah, I can see this happening. I can see this pattern. I can see how this pattern exists in the chaos, and that I can work with it. Okay. All right. So the final thing is that there's 7 colors of magic that are associated with the planets. Let's see. I wrote these down in my book here, what they were. Uranus is octarine, which is the 8th color of magic, and it is literally just whatever your unique magician's color is. All the other colors are. I wrote it down here. It's in these notes. I can lift this up. There we go. Okay. So black magic or death magic is Saturn. Red magic is Mars or war magic. Yellow magic, which is ego magic, is the sun. Orange magic, thinking magic, is Mercury. Purple, silver, sex magic is Venus. Green, love magic, is the moon. Blue is Jupiter, which is wealth magic, and octarine is the pure magic of the magician. And then incidentally, these planets also sort of signify the days of the week too. So like what's today? Tuesday. So it's Mars's day. Isn't that funny? So it's Mars's day. But yeah, so you can even, if you want to like take this book and take some of his sort of ideas and rituals and steps and practices, you can also incorporate it into your astrology as well. So the recent influx of chaos that I'm referring to, like after this full moon that's coming, after this square tomorrow, we're going to have a week of this waxing gibbous moon. It's going to feel very intense. There's going to be an influx of chaos, a lot of very tired, very emotional, reactive energies are all around you, swirling around you. So there's all these new thought forms coming up. And what you can do with that chaos, guys, is you can create your own new thought forms, your own creative ideas. They will spontaneously pop into your field if you're listening. And chaos can rid you of your shackles too, because it's an opportunity to change things the way you want them to go. And you know what happens when you become a magician of the mundane? Like it's almost as if you exist in a realm just outside of everything else, and you know a secret about the world. Kind of reminds me of the Buddha, right? It's like they're just sitting there smiling and content because they know a secret about the world. Like you can go and do your boring 9-to-5 job and you can keep doing it. But hopefully after this talk, you can do it like a magician. Okay. Like any chaos that comes from it, revel in it. Get in there and change something for yourself if you don't like it. You know, always look at change or fluctuations with a positive outlook so that you can help mold your timeline. So cool. Well, that's my presentation. I don't know if you guys want to do astrology. This one a little bit longer than I thought. Twilight Mist asked, not sure if you mentioned this, but researchers at University of Toronto put out an article today that they discovered negative time. Oh, wow. That's shadow time. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so it just kind of proves to you that. So when we're talking about this, are we actually creating these new things in physics? I don't know. That's what this book would suggest, is that sometimes when we go down these rabbit holes, we actually create things. Oh, Desirous Rule says, we want more of anything. Yes, please. Okay, well, I guess I can do it real quick if you guys want. Basically, what I did is I went ahead and I ran the chart for the moment I was working on this presentation. And I just wanted to see, like, what was going on in the sky for me to be so, like wide open and just bringing stuff in. And here it was. This was earlier today. And I showed you earlier a picture of this, of the moon in Stellarium. It's right there at the galactic center. So probably right now, I might actually go out and take a picture of it. Moon and galactic center. But Jupiter just stationed retrograde today, you guys. So the expansion energy might plateau a little bit for some of us. And then it'll be retrograde probably for about 5 months, I think. And then in just 4 days, you guys, Pluto's going direct, and it is on. It is on. That's where the chaos is going to come from. And then also Mars will be moving into Cancer, and the day of the full moon will be an orb of the opposition with Pluto. And I don't want to scare anybody, but this is a very purging energy. This is like, you know, if you've got a lot of stuff on you, if you're holding on to a lot of things, you're going to feel it. Like the best kind of Pluto energy, just completely like stripping you down to the bare truth of what it all is. It's very purging. So just be ready for that. I don't know. I might actually fast or just eat very, very lightly around that full moon, because Mars and Pluto are actually going to square the next full moon, which is in Pisces. So we're safe for another day or two. And then that week before the full moon, it's on. So the moon is here in Ophiuchus. And this is like, for me, this part of the sky is gnosis. This is that gnosis. This is realizing that you are a creator God in touch with your own magic to mold and shape your reality so that you can serve others for even evil means. But hopefully you guys listening aren't going to do that. But it's powerful, and it's how it works. And I think there is a huge majority of people where their powerful magic is being used by others through manipulation. So, you know, are you being manipulated? That's your question. Am I manipulating you? You have to ask yourself that. There's a level of discernment here with everything that I teach and talk about. But for me, it mostly rings true. And you know, this moon in Ophiuchus was literally perfect timing, commenting on that. And then, of course, we've got this guy's. Let me just show you my chart so I can show you what these characters are doing to my life. So I am in the middle here. This middle rings, and this represents my birth wheel and time and date. And then this is the sky right now. So I've got Uranus on my ascendant retrograde. He's going to come back this way. So there's this like expansion into my individuality. There's a cosmic level of knowledge that's coming through for me. The astrologer's coming out in a big way. I also have Jupiter moving retrograde now over my south node again. So I've got an expansion in, sort of what I'm good at, expanding the value of myself as well. I've been on that process for quite a few months now. And when Jupiter passed my ascendant, that was when my job switched. So anytime you got Jupiter passing over your ascendant, guys, that's a big change for your career. Then I've got Mars over my natal Venus, Saturn, Star Series, Lilith energy. So there's a sense of action. There's a God, it's like fighting with words almost energy for the value of what it is that I bring, because this Saturn Venus energy is my gift. I'm teaching you the ways of creation. I'm teaching you about that power that you have through your inspirations, through your creative legacy, through whatever it is that you make here in this world. And I've had Pluto over my Mercury for some time now, the better part of 2 years. And Pluto being in Sagittarius, guys, not Capricorn, not Aquarius. This is like the truth of your spiritual beliefs, the truth of the wisdom, and it's opposing my Mercury. So it's like balancing, like raw, dark wisdom with compassionate communication that's valuable. So I have some raw, dark wisdom in here, and how do I bring that forward in a way that's compassionate, in a way that people can understand, in a way that's valuable. And then let's see. And yeah, Saturn's over my Jupiter. So yeah, there's this is actually kind of nice. This is bringing a focus of responsibility on how I want to bring abundance and optimism and faith. It's a collective energy. It's an energy that's ahead of its time. It's in my 10th house. So, being out there in the public, bringing through this spiritual knowledge in a responsible way, and in a way that's not authoritative either. Like, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do. Saturn can do that. So there is a lot of that energy out there right now with Saturn in Aquarius, especially when Saturn goes direct, but that won't be for a little bit. So what else? The South Node and the eclipse just happened over my Pluto. And then, of course, I have Pluto trine Pluto. So this is an aspect that's not actually supposed to happen. Like if Pluto's orbit was perfectly circular, it wouldn't happen until I was 81 years old. But it's happening at the age of 50. So anybody that's born between like 71 and 75 right now, you all have Pluto trine Pluto. And isn't it amazing? Isn't it powerful? Are you the same person you were 5 years ago? Probably not. We're growing up really quickly because of this aspect. So yeah, that's my chart. And then of course the moon's over my north node, which is in Ophiuchus. So partnering with spirit to bring through the cosmic wisdom. All right. So that was it. That's what I got. All right, cool. So yeah, next week, I think I'm going to, we'll do, next week, guys, I'm going to be live twice. I'll be live on Wednesday morning on Sumerian or Babylonian astrology with Abby over there. And I think Nikki. We're going to chat about Mercury and Venus cycles. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm not the same person I was this morning, especially after putting this PowerPoint together. Holy crap. So I'll be on with them, and then probably either Tuesday night or Thursday night, I'm going to cover, it'll probably be Tuesday night. We're going to cover that full moon that's coming up, and we'll see how everybody's feeling right in the middle of that energy. Yeah. All right. Mercedes, thank you, Dr. J. You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, Jeff. Well done. Thank you. Awesome, you guys. All right, cool. Well, I'll let you guys go. I got to work tomorrow. So I'm going to record a Jeep chat. I hope you guys like those. If you have any, thoughts or questions you want me to answer while I'm sitting chatting in the Jeep, anything you want me to muse about or wax philosophical, let me know, because I'd rather do that than listen to the radio. So, all right, my loves. It was wonderful being here with you. Thank you so much for listening and giving me your attention during that presentation. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I will talk to y'all soon. Namaste, guys.